Welcome back to Nutrapreneur, your go-to podcast for groundbreaking insights into the nutraceutical world. I'm Bethany, your host. Today, we're excited to welcome Joey Savage, the Chief Scientific Officer at Glaxon. Known for its sports nutrition expertise, Glaxon offers a diverse range of dietary supplements. Joey's innovative approach has been instrumental in positioning Glaxon at the forefront of the industry. Welcome, Joey. It's so great to have you today.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So first, I think it'd be great for you to just share with us Glaxon's philosophy in developing sports nutrition products and how this sets you apart from the market.
I think that when it comes to our philosophy and like setting us apart in the market, like that's when we started this company, that was the whole idea, is that we were going to be different from everybody else. And to do so by just innovating in every way that we knew how, and to over-engineer certain product concepts with a new perspective than what you see as far as like typical saturation in sports nutrition. So we are more mechanism heavy. So, when it comes to what's going on at the cellular level, we are looking to elicit different events that are going on there that, on the broad scale, contribute to muscle growth or weight loss or longevity or whatever that is. So, when you look at any of our products, you're going to always notice that there's some weird, different, unique spin that you're not going to see in like, the next product on the shelf. And we've done that from everything from protein to creatine to, just about anything that we touch.
Yeah, I think that's really important in this industry because like you said, I think a lot of people see the sports nutrition industry as very saturated. So you do have
All
to
the
get
same. Yeah.
creative and innovative to come up with new ideas. And Glaxon is renowned for its pre-workout and muscle building supplements. So how do you balance the innovation piece with safety and efficacy in these products?
Well, it's been a challenge from time to time. I mean, when it comes to safety, like we're never going to launch a product that's not safe. And when it comes to efficacy, for the most part, we're using clinical dosages, and where you do see those moments where we're not, there's usually a pretty solid explanation as to why. A lot of our formulas rely heavily on synergy. So usually what that means is we'll use a combination of ingredients that elicit a bigger response than what any of these ingredients would do in isolation. So, we do lean on that. Now, when it comes to balancing that with the innovation side is where things get a little bit tricky. I mean, as your viewers may know, that like we're a brand that's in, nationwide retail and GNC right now. So when we went into GNC, that made things a little bit more difficult because everything that we do has to be double checked by their internal quality team. And it's got to pass their litmus test before we're able to bring something to market. So, we've got a pretty good relationship with them. So we're always in constant contact. And in some cases, it's been to our detriment where we've got to hold off on a product launch for a considerable amount of time, which is happening right now with one that we're working on. Because there are certain, human clinical studies that need to be completed in order for them to be happy with moving forward on taking the product to market. So it's a delicate dance trying to be on the forefront of innovation because there's people that want more data. There's people that are producing that data, and there's several things that are out of our control. But as long as we communicate well with all these different parties, we can still stay at the forefront as much as we can.
Yeah, I think those are all great points. And in this industry, I think trust is paramount. So, how does Glaxon ensure transparency and reliability in its product formulations and in their marketing?
There's a couple of different ways. I mean, the first thing is like with claims, under promise and over deliver. So, a lot of the claims we make are very either generalized or even like border on puffery. I mean, if we're going to say an outlandish thing, we're going to be very outlandish about it, where it's like no one can reasonably conclude that, our gaming product is really going to give you telepathic or what is it, telekinetic powers.
Yeah.
So that's one way. The other things is the fact that the majority of our labels are completely transparent. I think one of the few places that we have proprietary blends is like in our electrolyte blend. But if you're, pretty savvy with reading a supplement facts panel, you can really kind of reverse engineer that because you have to claim the amount of different salts and those nutrients that you find on the top half of the supplement facts panel. So, not claiming too much. The other thing is, yeah, the not having proprietary blends and having a fully disclosed label. The third thing is that we do third-party testing. And when you have third-party testing to back up everything that you're making, because we're also a manufacturer, we've got a test product that's coming in as far as the individual ingredients that, we're putting into these products. And then we also test it on the back end to make sure that that product is delivering the potency that we declare there on the supplement facts panel. So, it's a three-pronged approach. Don't make crazy claims. Second thing is having a fully disclosed label so people know exactly the amounts of everything they're getting, and having third-party testing to back that up.
Yeah, absolutely. All three things are very important in this industry and for consumer trust. And with the evolving landscape of sports nutrition, how does Glaxon leverage technology in product development and customer engagement?
When it comes to that, one of the things that has really made a difference for us lately is using different tools that employ artificial intelligence. If I'm looking for like a new ingredient, knowing how to generate the right kind of prompts to interface with AI is pretty important. If you know exactly what you're looking for, AI can be incredibly helpful. If you're like, help me make a pre-workout, well, it's going to make a pre-workout based on every pre-workout that it's ever seen, and nothing's going to be innovative about it. So using those tools is kind of interesting because that helps us on the product development side. So, by using that, we're able to comb the desert a lot easier than just simply Googling my life away, which I don't mind, but AI has certainly made it easier. And there was a second thing that we did recently where we did a demonstration at the GNC franchise convention on an AI chatbot for customer service questions. So through a combination of efforts, there were a few of us here that we took a lot of the information that was already on our website as far as like what's in the product, how do I use it, all these simple FAQ kinds of questions. And we created a data set out of that and fed that into an AI that was able to take all that information and not only just be able to spit out those simple answers that you would anticipate that a customer would have, but also to, kind of imagine and extrapolate and get some sort of an intuition about how our products work together. And when we did this demonstration at the GNC convention, they even like threw a trick question at it. And they're like, well, what if, your customer's a 14-year-old kid, playing junior high football or something like that? And the answer that it spit out was like, you should really talk to your doctor about taking supplements. But if you are going to take supplements, a simple basic whey protein powder and a multivitamin would be a really good start. And we didn't expect that. We didn't program that into our AI, but it was able to, intuitively develop that answer on its own.
This episode is brought to you by NutraPayments.com. If your business needs credit card processing that fully integrates with most major Nutra software platforms, offers the lowest industry prices, and has built-in features like recurring billing, $0 trials, and chargeback prevention, then visit us at NutraPayments.com for a free online quote. Are there any specific challenges that Glaxon has faced in product development or market positioning, and can you explain to us how you overcame it?
I mean, I face hurdles all the time with product development. I mean, I touched on this earlier with like having to wait on clinical studies to be published, so GNC's like QA/QC can feel good about it. And we've got product concepts that we've been sitting on for months or in some cases years, where it's like we're really just waiting on the data, and we're working with researchers and stuff to make sure that they've got everything that they need in order to proceed. And sometimes that puts a very big delay in your whole operation. So a really good example of this is there was a compound that was used in some weight management or fat burning type products called L-Beta. And through our work with NNB Nutrition and getting some third party, information from a company called Intertech, we were to create a safety dossier before anybody else. So when it came to, that ingredient being in GNC, we were the first ones to actually have it on their shelves. And that essentially, gave us a head start when it came to the weight management category, and we were able to sell a whole bunch of units. And this ended up catching wind to our competitors, and they ended up using the ingredient as well. And it's one of those things where, yes, we had to wait. We had to go out of our way to get like expert, panel opinions on the safety of this ingredient. And it eventually, got this brand new ingredient in the doors of GNC and enabled everybody else to follow suit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's still important to be kind of the first to launch something because even if something else comes out that's very similar or has the same ingredient, I see that customers are pretty loyal to the original brand that had this ingredient or the original brand that they purchased. Do you find that with your products?
Yes and no, and it doesn't bother me when it doesn't happen. I'm just happy that, this stuff is out there in the wild where people can actually get access to it. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes, it might be people, I think people are more loyal to like cost per dose. I think that they will look to us as innovators as far as like, maybe if this company ended up coming out with like a cheaper version of it, that they're still going to look to us for like the next big thing. So I think there's long-term loyalty there, even if, like in the short term, someone else ends up doing it. But as long as the customer still gets what they need as far as, wanting to use that ingredient, and doing it for the best they can for the dollar, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of trends in this industry. And as dietary trends change, how does Glaxon adapt its product line to cater to emerging consumer needs, such as these plant-based or keto-friendly supplements?
I'm not exactly a fan of trends, but we definitely, come up with new and innovative ways to approach that. We've got a vegan protein powder that, we've been developing for a couple of years now. And for any of you out there who've consumed like a pea protein, there's all kinds of different problems with like texture and mouthfeel, and sometimes there's like an aftertaste with it. And we've reached a point with like our vegan protein where I think that we're finally going to get to a place where we're going to launch it where, if you put it side by side next to a whey protein shake, they're almost indiscernible as far as their difference. Like the texture and the creaminess and all of that stuff that you're used to in a whey protein shake is there, except for it's 100% vegan. Um, and as far as keto-friendly supplements, I've got history with making keto-friendly products. And I do think that there's some benefit there. I think the keto fad itself, though, is kind of on its way out. I don't think high fat, low carb is ever really on its way out. I mean, originally that was like the case with like the Atkins diet, and then eventually it became keto. Um, so when it comes to like the trends and everything, I mean, we even did like a really nice beauty from within product, staying ahead of most of the trends that are around. But a lot of the things that we like to do is we like to look back on other, previous trends or previous, market leading categories and seeing how we can revisit those in a way that really hasn't been done before. And, I would say that we did this with creatine probably the best because what we did is we used a special type of capsule that doesn't deploy until it gets into the small intestine. And by doing that, we basically gave customers who previously had terrible experiences with creatine to have less bloating, to have less of an upset stomach, to have less concerns over conversion of creatine into creatinine, which some people say is like a toxic waste product. But by bypassing all these different things that were going on in the stomach, we were able to deliver the creatine directly to the small intestine into a neutral pH where it can get absorbed and you can get all the benefits without having any of the negative side effects of like the questionable gastric transit stuff that a lot of consumers suffered from. So I think like looking back on previous trends with a fresh perspective is really what gives us a lot of credit when it comes to staying ahead of a lot of trends. And in a lot of cases, we like to create our own trends.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great approach because a lot of businesses do just jump onto these trends so quickly that they don't do it right. And so I think being able to take a look back, see what customers liked, what they didn't like, and then to kind of reinvent that is great.
And it makes it fun because,
Yeah.
a lot of people think, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And then we're over here just trying to fix everything.
Yeah. And given your role as Chief Scientific Officer, how do you see Glaxon influencing the future of sports nutrition and supplements?
So obviously innovation is part of our blood, but I think there's a burden on our brand right now to reach more people and to do this on a much more massive scale. Having nationwide distribution in GNC is a good thing, but I think that there's more that we're going to do here in the next year in 2024 to bring that to more people. All the while, we're going to bring new spins on different market segments as far as, different technological spins. You're going to see us incorporating a few more aspects of the microbiome and how you really are able to harness that beyond just simple immunity and gut health, which is something that I'm particularly excited about. And just trying to push that envelope even further with like, our emerging and current understanding and how we're actually going to take that and incorporate it into actual products.
Yeah. And so you kind of touched on it a bit already, but my next question is, are you able to give us a sneak peek into any upcoming innovations or projects at Glaxon?
So we have a busy 2024. We're going to be revisiting the pre-workout category in two different ways that will be going on this year. In the next 2 weeks, we have 3 product launches that will be happening. We'll be revisiting our protein concept. Previously, it was during COVID, so the pricing on whey protein was ridiculously high. So we're going to bring back our protein with more servings and a lower price, thank God, because the inflation has come
Yeah.
down. And talking about the incorporation of the microbiome, we're going to do that in 2 different ways. One of those is going to be for cognitive health, obviously with like the gut-brain axis. And the other one is for overall cardiovascular health. And that one's going to be pretty interesting because it's gonna use an ingredient that hasn't been used in the market before. And I found these partners that are working with us in Eastern Europe, and they had a particular probiotic strain that was pretty breathtaking. So, that those will probably be later on this year, but those are definitely things we're working on.
Yeah, so lots of exciting things happening. And for aspiring entrepreneurs or scientists in the nutraceutical industry, what advice would you offer based on your experience?
Do what you can to really identify what your brand is and what it's about and own that 100%. Don't be too afraid of following too many trends because you need to, enable yourself to set yourself apart from the rest of them. Whether that's on price or innovation or packaging or even if it's just flavor, whatever it is that is your shtick, do it and do it well and just own that the entire time. Um, and don't try to please everybody, but also be true to your own brand at the same time.
Yes, great advice. Well, Joey, thank you once again for joining us today. This concludes our inspiring conversation with Joey Savage of Glaxon. We've uncovered some fascinating insights into the cutting edge world of sports nutrition. For our listeners wanting to learn more about Glaxon's products, visit our website for links and details. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts on today's episode. Join us next time on Nutrapreneur for more exciting journeys in the nutraceutical landscape. Stay informed and motivated in the dynamic world of health and fitness.